Buonasera. Benvenuti all'ultimo incontro di quest'anno delle Genesis Lectures. Stasera abbiamo come invitato Elisa Valero Ramos e verrà presentata da una breve introduzione di Francesca Moschini, che è qui alla mia destra, che è una ex studentessa del nostro corso di laurea di Ingegneria e di Architettura. Vi ricordo che questi eventi sono organizzati da noi studenti del corso. E Francesca ha avuto la grandissima fortuna di lavorare per alcuni mesi con Elisa, quindi buona conferenza.
Buonasera, per me è un grande piacere introdurre oggi la conferenza di Elisa Valero a conclusione del ciclo Genesis di questo anno. Elisa Valero è professore di progettazione architettonica alla Scuola Tecnica di Architettura di Granada, dove svolge la sua attività professionale dal 1997, quindi circa 20 anni. Inaugura la sua carriera con il restauro del ristorante Mantianales, progettato in Messico da Félix Candela, e prosegue fino ad oggi nella ricerca di un'architettura silenziosa, ma al contempo densa di significato. I temi a lei più cari sono quelli dell'abitazione, del dialogo col paesaggio, dell'economia delle forme espressive e dell'architettura bioclimatica. Questi temi sono ben rappresentati da progetti come l'ampliamento della scuola Cerrillo de Maracena a Granada, la scuola infantile al Serrallo e la chiesa en Playa Granada. Molte sono anche le esperienze di ricerca e insegnamento in varie università estere, tra le quali la London South Bank University, l'Architectural Association School of Architecture, entrambe a Londra, l'Università Tecnica di Berlino, Roma 3, la Royal Academy of Fine Arts in Copenaghen e la Facoltà di Architettura di Mantova. Elisa è anche una scrittrice prolifica e conta la pubblicazione di circa 7 libri, tra i quali spicca Light in Architecture, The Intangible Material, edito dal Royal Institute of British Architects nel 2016. In questo libro la luce viene interpretata come elemento complesso, capace sia di umanizzare l'architettura con la sua mutevolezza, sia di renderla astratta. Personalmente ritengo che per comunicare l'inscindibilità tra ricerca, didattica e professione che la caratterizza, possa essere utile citare una sua opera, tanto piccola quanto raffinata. Lo studio, en Calle Belén, occupa una piccolissima area, prima dell'intervento dallo scarso valore commerciale, perché troppo esigua per ospitare spazi abitativi. In sostanza è un rifiuto di spazio urbano. La complessità progettuale quindi si risolve nello sviluppo verticale, con un raffinato esercizio di calibrata sovrapposizione di differenti spazi di vita, ognuno con una sua specifica luce, filtrata dalla facciata che assume il ruolo di diaframma, tale da regolare la quantità di luce appunto presente nell'opera. Ad essere significativa è anche la posizione, al fine di presentare il suo lavoro, a pochi passi dalla scuola e in diretta relazione con quella magnifica opera che è l'Alhambra. Una quotidianità che quindi si articola dinamicamente tra l'instancabile attività di ricerca e didattica, l'energetica e poetica attività professionale e la costante consapevolezza di operare in una tradizione culturale che si nutre da secoli del delicato e inestricabile dialogo tra interno ed esterno, pubblico e privato, luce e ombra e pieno e vuoto. Elisa Valero.
First of all, I want to give you thanks for inviting me to be here with you. And it's a really good thing, and I'm very happy. And second, asking you pardon for not speaking Italian. I understand Italian, but I will speak English if you don't mind. And if you want me to stop, or if you want to, I will try to repeat or to explain. I will try my best to explain you what I'm working. I give you thanks because of asking me to talk here with you, to share with you something that I have been working, I have been thinking for a long, long time. nearly 20 years thinking in this same idea, this idea of Genesis. How does a project begin? And that's because I teach to my students, and I am asking this for myself and for them. How can I help them to start a project? And this question, it was a question for myself, but also a question to share with all these young people who is starting and who, well, I think that in one moment we start the projects, but this career of being architect, but we never finish, we never stop. We are always growing in this career of being architect. And then in this time, just a few years ago, I brought this book. This book is Ocio Peligroso. I suppose that for you it's easier to understand in Spanish than in English, because in English it doesn't mean so much. Because Ocio Peligroso means is introduction to the architectonic project. Is because I think that the project, in fact, the project is intellectual work, is the opposite of negocio. I don't know if in English it works, negocio as business. In Spanish is ocio as something to enjoy, and negocio is the negation, not ocio, is the opposite. And I thought that I was really interested in thinking in the project not just as a business, just as something, an intellectual, something that you enjoy, something like a game, but a game that is made to improve the quality of life of the people, to improve the society, to improve the cities. It's just a game where you risk. And that's why I say it's dangerous. Of course it's dangerous, because also when in this game we don't know the way. We have not passed, if you always do the same project, then there is no risk. But I am interested in this, exploring the new ways, exploring new building systems. And that's why I think that was a right name for this, Ocio Peligroso. Also because it was for young students. And I thought that maybe a very short book with this name could be more interesting, easier to read. In fact, I think, well, this is in this moment, I am translating the book into English, and I am trying to publish it in English, and maybe it will be easier to arrive to more people and out of Spain. And I promise to send you the first one when I got it for you. Yes, it's understanding the project as leisure. I understand my work like that. I enjoy very much with what I do, and I understand that this is a good thing to ask how the project begins. I suppose this is Le Corbusier, and I am sure he also enjoyed very much with the work he used to do. I think that we can only do very well the things we love. That's so simple like that. Then I think is understanding our work of projecting as something this leisure, as this kind of game where you enjoy, I think is quite good. Also, the project is a process. It's not something that is something that has a long way, sometimes longer than 1 year that the students have in the real life. Sometimes some project has a lot of things and they have to change, and in this process the project is changing and we also are changing with the project, because I think that we change the project but also the project changes us. Well, if I have to think how begins the project, I think that first of all, before starting in the project, there are a lot of things that have influence in this project. Is that all the things we have inside. Of course, we have a program, we have a client, we have a plot, a site, but why this project is like this and not in other way? First of all, we have to think in what we have inside. And this is in the very beginning of the project. All this influence that make us as we are, as architects. Also as persons, but as architects. And then I suppose that all these things can produce a gaze. It's our gaze, what we see. Each one of us have a different gaze, see different things in the same reality. And in that is a very important part of this creative process. And, well, if you like, I will tell you some of this influence that I find in my life. First of all, I think that is our personal history. And in fact, I have to say as a poet from Granada that I am as I am because of the people I love. Yes, so easy and so simple, and it works for the life, and it works also for the architecture. First of all, I have to talk about my mother. My mother was a painter, and now you can say, you are going too far. No, I'm not going too far. I learned from her about light, because she was a painter, and about color, and about all the important things that I find in my work today. My mother died when I was very young, but she opened to me very huge horizons, and she is very present in all the things I do. And I cannot forget that a lot of my works are because of her, that's for sure. But maybe this is a childhood influence, maybe, but sometimes in our childhood is the roots of our life. Okay, after that I will be very interested if we can exchange ideas, because I'm interested in all your ideas also for my book that I am trying to improve for this English publication. The second person I want to talk here is Carlos Martí. He was my professor. He never, I was never in his classes. We meet as when both of us were teaching. I was very young teacher of architecture, and he was just, a real intellectual, wonderful master for all us. I suppose you know some of the works of Carlos Martí. but I learned from him all these intellectual guides of my architecture. And also the third person, you are going to meet him later. So I will tell you about him later, because I'm going, first of all, the structure of this lecture is going to be first some ideas, these ideas of how I think, what are the influence and how the project begins, and after that I will try to explain all this theoric part in 3 works, in my 3 last works. That's why you don't know them, because are new. And there are just of this last year. Okay, then it's very interesting this gaze made for all people, also for our traveling or trips or the place where we have been, and all these things are very interesting. Another thing very important is to understand the context where we are going to work. I think in the beginning of the project is always the context. If we don't, we have to understand the context, because we have to work because architecture is not an utopic work. Utopic means U is without, and topic is topos, from topos. Topos means place. Topos, topografia. I suppose that in Italian you have the same word. Utopic is without place. Architecture is never without place. Nearly never. Architecture is for a context, for a place, for a problem, to solve a problem. Then that's very important. I think it's very important to understand reality, to understand the context, to be in the earth, to touch the reality. And that's why context is, because we can learn a lot of that. And then with all these things, with all these elements, we will start this construction of the project. Then we start to find the idea as a driving force, this idea that is the opportunity for doing something, for changing something, improving something, transforming this reality that we have accepted. And also for that, the form is the result of this idea. And I think that this, it's quite interesting to think about. I've been for a long time thinking about this idea of what is form. And there are 2 different meanings of form. First of them, if you think forms as gestalt, as image, then something maybe formalist. You know, you find in a magazine something that you like, and then this is very compositive and very sculptoric, and this is the form. This is not the kind of form I'm talking when I'm thinking in architecture. I'm talking of another idea of form coming from the Greek word, and means the internal structure. And this internal structure is what means the form. It's quite an abstract concept. It's not just a visual concept, but it's a deeper concept. And it's very important to understand this internal structure of the work we are working, and that will be the form. Never mind how it's going to be. If we find this internal shape, this internal structure, then it will be very coherent with the final result if we can follow this way. Okay, if you get lost, you just have to do like this, and I will go quicker, and I can change I can change of these things. But I am interested in working, in talking with you all these things, because for a long time I've been studying all this, and I've been worried of how can we help, where to find this help in the project process. This is one idea of this form as result. You know what is this? Of course you know. This is a drawing of the trees. You know, it's a map because to know the reality where the trees is going to help us to understand, to help us to project the form of the house we are going to put in this place. No, this is a coder work. Also, when the result is so clear as Alberto Campo Baeza works, also when this result has to do a lot of things with contemporaneous. We work in a culture, we work in a place with a lot of historic roots, but also we work from the contemporary. We are not going to do, we are not going to do 18th century works. We are going to restore them, of course. But we have to work from the present for the future, with the past. From the present for the future, I think is. Okay, and also another thing that I think that is in the project, and I am sorry because I am maybe telling you too much things. All these ideas of this book, I am throwing it to you, is this critical capacity. This capacity of being critical with things that are working well and something that is not working well, to be critical with our own work. This is the idea, okay, this is the initial idea, but in this way, in this process, we have to be critical. To be critical with our work, and also to be open to other critics. That's very good for students, and it's also very good for us. Sometimes, when we are not in the school, we don't have this help, and we need also the clients, or an external view to help us to this critical. I think it's very important. Sometimes, well, a few years ago, I was with a friend of mine who was a very, very clever engineer, and he told me, Elisa, I have discovered that the people successful in the life is the people who can recognize that he has some mistake. And I thought, what do you mean? Yes, it's the people who discover when something is wrong and then is able to change it for the next time. And this is the successful people, who is able to have this critical capacity with himself, with his own work, to understand, okay, in this case, I think that it was not possible like that, but in the future. And I think that is a very important thing. In fact, I am, all these things I'm talking to you is things I try to practice in my own work, in my own life. In fact, we never finish of making ourselves as an architect. I am not, and it's a good thing, because then you will be a finished architect, and I think none of one is the thing we want. this challenge of learning every day. For me, in my office, I have a very small office, as Francesca said, very small office, just a few architects. And we are always exploring new ways, learning new systems that are very new, and when we try them, we find some problems, and then in the next we try again, but trying to modify things that we had problems that time, and as I'm going to tell you, is this challenge of learning. This is never say it's enough. Never say, okay, I know. I never know enough. I am always learning. I am always learning. I have always a new goal. I have new windows. I have a lot of things I want to try. That's a good thing, because sometimes I think that we are very lucky. We architects are very lucky, because in some other, I love tennis. I play tennis. But we are very lucky, because in tennis, as professional, at my age, I will be finished. And now, as architect, I am still starting. I feel very young, and I think that I have, I am still, I have a long future in front of me. I have this capacity. I will try to improve, and in tennis, it will be not so easy, not at my young age. And also in all this way, in all this method, on all this, also something very important is that it's necessary a lot of hours of thinking. It's necessary time. It's necessary to go back again. Is to start and to try and to follow and to find and to fight and to share and to follow and to read and to study and to all these things and to compare and to all these things. It's not just I have a solution, but how can this solution be possible? Okay, and this is a theoretic approach. I don't know if very clear, but I'm sorry, a lot of ideas there of this approach of how I think the project begins and how I think it has to go and how it develops. And now I'm going to show in the practice this beginning of the idea and his evolution of the idea and how this idea go to the end with 3 words, if you don't mind. First of all, and they are very different, to show you the different situations of how this genesis of the project can be. First of all is when, and I start with what you can think is more freedom to less freedom. But I think that freedom has nothing to do with conditions. We have a lot of conditions, but I think that freedom is something else. I think that we can be very freedom with a lot of conditions. First of all is a wonderful program. It's a church in a wonderful place. Maybe is the most beautiful place I've never worked. I never had a garden for doing. This is a garden for doing a church in front of the beach. Don't you think that this is like a dream for all architects? I never thought I was going after. Well, the history of this is very long. I'm not going to tire you because I had some competitions, but now The question is that I had this place here, to build a church. And in the beginning, there was a lot of, it was, so wonderful, so incredible, and I was so free in the middle of the nothing. You can, with the beautiful views, and with all this, do you think that is easier because of that? Not at all. That makes it more difficult, because you have to ask what are the questions you want to solve with this, in this opportunity, because it's a huge opportunity. And then I decided to build a very simple stone, concrete building, just like a big stone in the middle of this garden. And trying, first of all, I try to not to cut a single tree. And then I decided that I was not going to cut a tree. And then I put in this place between the trees. But also I had other conditions that I choose my own conditions. Nobody told me, okay, you have to do like that. No, I choose my own condition. And I had two conditions because I thought it was interesting for this idea. As Francesca told you, I've been working with light for a long time. Yes, long time, it's 20 years working on this idea of light. And light in architecture is very important, light in churches is very important. And using light in the symbolic meaning of light, it was very important for that. And then in this church, that was this symbolic use of light. And you say it's quite close. Yes, it's quite close, because light is just coming in 3 points. And also working with the scale. I was going from the outside very open to the inside, and then it was very important to do this way, this shadow, to go in, to measure the architecture with the body. And in this very abstract building, it's not very big. In fact, I have to say that it's not big, and it was really, really cheap. I have to say that it was the price more or less than 500 euros square meter. Then it was half of the price, less than half of the usual price for a building like this in Spain. Then size was small, and I tried to prepare this way to the entrance, to the interior. And all these ideas were there from the very beginning, and then some of them are very clear and they arrive to the end. But please, let me go to the beginning. In this beginning, you can find some of the ideas. The first one is that this church has to be open to the orientation to east. It has to be east-west, because of this symbolic idea of the east all the churches in the. I studied a lot the first churches of the history of, and all them are because of the symbology of the resurrection, and because of God is the light of the world, and that's why it has. And then I choose, because I was free to do that. It's not possible if you are in the middle of the city, but now. And here you can find the first idea, the genesis of the project. West, east, and then north, south, north close, and south very open. Here was the sea, el mar, mare, the sea, because also this is like a chapel, very small, and in summer, when there are a lot of people there, you can use this open space, and people be outside, and you can celebrate the Mass there, and it will be an open church, you know, and just using it as a presbyterio and nothing else. And then it was like this. This is open, and you can put here an altar, and then it will be open, and you can have 500-600 people, and it will be okay because all the garden will be used for the celebration. And that was very interesting in this summer masses in this place. And well, also it was not possible because all these things I told you of the trees and all this, it was not possible to get the perfect east-west. And then this cross is moved to the to find the perfect east-west eje, no? I don't know, axe of the church. Also, just with one material, I think that was very clear. Just one material, concrete. And it helped it to do it very, very cheap. Also, it's not possible to separate, in my case, the formal idea with the building system. It's not possible to separate building system with that. And in this building system is a new one that you can, the name is a new patent of an engineer of Granada. And it's quite simple because you put pour span in isolation between concrete. And then you can have just the concrete and with a very high inertia. And with that, we can get really very cheap structure, as this is. This is really an amazing cheap structure. With also with all these cantilever, all these vuelos, no? Bueno. Okay. Also, with only with this same element, we will open all the windows just with one element in this concrete. And here, all the windows I need are here with the same. Everything is done without nothing. I don't want windows, just with these small cuts. I cut in the stone all these holes to get the light going. And here you have the office, and here you have the stairs to go up, and all these things. Also, during the project, we have to do change. The project is not finished when you give to the client, here you can get the permission and you start working. No, sometimes you start working and until you finish your work, it's not going to finish the project because it's an open work. In the beginning, I was projecting this celosía, this with stones. There were like the beach stones crossed with iron. And I thought that was very beautiful, and it was very nice to have this in front of this beach, because in this beach is not a sand beach, but a stone beach. Then I thought, that's just wonderful. I'm going to be very in the context with that. But we had a problem that the client say, okay, but you can come and cut the iron with well, not you and me, but if somebody want to install, they can come with a machine and clack, and they will and it's quite dangerous. And okay, we had to change it. And we decided, just in case of changing, we are going to do it not with a new thing, but something less. One thing less, not more things, not to add anything, just to put less things. You can understand, not to add, but to rest, less things. In this case, as we were working in a place with very near the sea, it was very difficult to work with iron because and then we prepared this prefabricated concrete with reinforced with fiber, not with iron, but with fiber. And that we want to invite this because we were worried that in the future we can have problems if we put iron inside these things prefabricate, concrete prefabricate. And then also changing in the project. The genesis was one moment, but after that it's not finished. You have to be very open to understand that in some moment the project can improve. And sometimes in the beginning I thought that we were going to put this in white, but when it was there, the client said that it was okay, and he don't mind, because in the beginning it was going to be all gray, but concrete, they thought that all concrete was not very, it was very cold, and then they said, okay, we will put in white, but then maybe there was not problem with the roof, and then the roof and also the floor are in concrete and not the other things. And also there are decisions that you have there and you can change. Okay, in fact, I have to say that it was to save money, because at the end of the work, it's difficult to find how to arrive to the end with very, very little money. And then all these good ideas are very welcome if help us to save money. And well, in this case, I will show you, this is one piece of stone, is 800 kilos of stone, of just one piece. After all I have seen in this amazing place this morning in Carrara, I think this is very small and very, it's very small and not important, but in that moment I thought that was, well, I want to have this natural stone, because I thought it is the most noble material I can find, and I decided to want for these three pieces, the altar, the baptisterio, and also the ambon you have here. Do you see more or less the image? Okay. To be on stone, the altar is 3,400 kilos of stone, because I want to have that stone. I decided that was going to be the real important element, of the project. All the other things, as you can see, were really cheap. Also, another interesting thing is the acoustic. Because of the acoustic, the shape of this building inside is determined because of acoustics. For that, the ceiling and the roof are not parallel. And because if it's parallel, you have problem with reverberation. You know what I mean? Then it was necessary, and it's quite interesting because you see that the decision some of the formal decisions are not because of me. It's because of objective reasons, because what I need is that it has to work very well. The only thing I'm worried is it has to work very well. And for that, the best form is the form that is going to work very well. And for that reason, no problem if I am not so purist to say, oh no, it has to be perfect, parallel. Why? I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in that the acoustic has to be really good. And in fact, I was very happy when in the first day, when the first celebration, came a chorus to sing. And then they were very surprised because really was a really good acoustic. Well, I had the help of very good engineers also, but it was, sometimes all these decisions were very important. You can see that it's very simple. We had no money to do extra things, but it was very important to have these clear ideas of we were not going to renounce to this kind of beauty that I think that in this kind of buildings is absolutely necessary. And here you can find the initial idea of the light. 3 lights. In the beginning, it was three different lights of natural light inside this building. The first and more important one is this one, and you can see here how light is going in an indirect way, is giving this more important light, this altar and presbyterios. We had a second light, and it changed during the project. This was the first idea of the project, but it changed. It changed because during the work, I thought it was necessary to do more simple, because it was not easy to do this skyline, to do all this. Then I decided to change it and to open here a direct window. It's not a window, in fact, it's just these holes you have seen in the image. And these holes from the west help us to have this direct light in the altar. And it also has a symbolic meaning that it helped. But I didn't discover it during the project. I discovered it during the work. I'm sorry, I was telling you about that. That's the idea. Also, this idea, that's what I told you, is open east, west. And one day in the year, this is the line is perfectly in the same axis of the altar and the same axis of the sagrarium. Here, you can see what I told you about this. Nobody usually appreciate this, because nobody in this space watch at the lateral front. Everybody goes is looking at the focus. Is focused in the altar, but in this case, I take this photo for you to understand what I mean when I say that we are changing. Also, it was very interesting because of the structure, because it was, this kind of structure, it was helping to do that. Here you can see how simple are the plants. Also, that there are some other spaces that it was important. I didn't want them to be visible, and there are quite invisible spaces here in the top of this place here. And here you have the third light, that is a light coming from the south and going into to the people who is sitting there. these 3 lights were a very strong idea of the project, because there are 3 different kinds of light. First of all, this one of indirect light going to the presbyterium. The second one, it was the direct one with this cross you have seen. And the third one is going to the people in the bench. And this is more or less the idea of this symbol of the Trinity, that there are 1 light and 3 different lights, 3 different forms of light and just 1 light. The same light is the light of the sun, and you can find in 3 different ways, coming in 3 different ways and having protagonists in 3 different moments of the day. Also, there was this it was a crypta because of the landscape, because we have very 3 meters of difference between one side and the other, and that it was natural to get that, and it was a free space. Free is no money space for that, and this is the entrance. Oh, I'm sorry. And this is the entrance of this light, because as we have this as for free, then we are going to use at least to get this space, and it's just with concrete, any finished, and so cheap, as I told you. Also, during the project, also the structure, we usually calculate the structure in our office. With this new system, structures are not so conventional, because we were working with because this system, this building system, is not in the we cannot use the conventional programs as CIPE and TRICALP. I suppose you use CIPE and TRICALP, and that's why we have to, well, we work with engineers, and we work together finding and things, and some of these things help us to change the project. And now, very quick, I will show you some moments of the projects that we had to change the project because of the context. First of all, is that we found water very near. We are next to the sea, and when we start to dig, then it was full of water, and then we had to change. Okay, no problem. We have to be ready for this, and then we prepare all these things, and also to spend more money, and to prepare all this. And we did all this with this system that I think is quite... Here you can, when in the beginning we had not this idea of the holes in the wall, but we discovered that this was the cheapest and the easier, not so easy for them, but in the concept was the best way of working with this idea of 1 stone, just 1 stone. Of all the building is just 1 stone. And we did like that. And then we use this idea for all the halls of the house. Also because the client asked to put across some way, because people was coming, what is that? What is that? They didn't know if it was a store or, you know, or a market, or they didn't know. And then they asked to put this symbol of the cross, and then they said, okay, if we are going to do that, we will do with the same element we need to do for the windows. This is the system that I told you is quite interesting, because you can get very cheap, because this is very cheap isolation between the concrete. Don't worry, I'm not going to tire you, as I know you are also engineers, and I suppose you are interested as me in this, but we'll learn a lot doing all these things with this concrete, all this piece of 30 meters of concrete without any pillar open, without any pillar, and all these things. Okay, that was the first work, and I have to tell you that in speed it seems very free because you have very open space. I had some conditions that I put myself. Some of the conditions were of the client, and some of the conditions were put of myself. But it was very strict with this condition. It has to be very cheap, because there was no money, really, really cheap. We have to build half of the normal price. We have to do it with this symbolic material, as light, and with this good acoustic, being very cheap building to have a very good acoustic. And also is this integration in the garden. In the future, this garden will grow with this only one material, concrete, is one stone, and this garden is going, all the plants are growing in this north facade, and then they are going to recover the lost garden. And then they are going to integrate into this place without no more element than just this concrete. And that was the very one you think that is maybe very easy, but you can understand that the project is not finished until the day. Well, I have to say that the project is not finished yet, but I'm not going to tell you, because maybe in the future I come here, I will tell you again when I finish it, but some things are still not ready. The second one, we have different conditions, and maybe you can think that with less freedom, of course. It is in the middle of the city center of Granada. 8 experimental apartments in the center of Granada, very near my office and very near the School of Architecture where I work. And this is the Alhambra, Torres Bermejas, and this is one of the most beautiful houses in Granada, is La Fundación Rodríguez Acosta. In the middle of this garden, this is La Colina del Mauror, and in the middle of all this, here you can find one house with all these conditions you have in the historic building, historic city centers. I suppose, as I am sure you have here, that it's quite difficult to do something but working here, you can see here, this is the Alhambra, this is the cathedral, and this is one of the oldest neighbors of Granada. And here, this is the School of Architecture. This is my office here, in this place, here, very small. And this is these houses. Okay, then I want to do something in this context, not trying to do something different, but in this context. That means that I have to respect the conditions of the context, but also always to work in the 21st century. I am not going to copy last century or two centuries ago systems or constructions. I'm going to work with experimental things. I have to fight, well, not fight, understand. I have to explain better to the Commission that was very traditional, because it was white, because why are not symmetrical all the windows in the same line, horizontal and vertical? Well, I think that's not the spirit of the place. And then there are a little bit, but not trying to do something strident, not trying not to be noisy, but working with silence. Working with silence and working, but avoiding copying all image, of this, not trying to copy the old buildings. Just trying to be very simple and very authentic. I'm very through with what I am doing work. Of course, I have to use bars, but I'm going to use in a very contemporary way. Of course, I have to work with windows like this, but I will work with in a very simple and contemporary way. And in the inside, we have this garden with entrance to the garden, and also here I want to get the water of the rain going inside, and then you have to pass with the car, but also I want to be open, and we did all this with this garden. And it's a pity that I don't have a recent, because this spring is absolutely wonderful, because all this has grown and is very big, and this tree and all this is just in a few months. This spring is wonderful. I'm really happy because this is full of yellow flowers, and it made me very happy with all the lavanda and all the tomillo and all these natural aromatic. Also very cheap, because we did this in a moment that we have not worked in the office, and that was done just for a few friends. It was for us. We were working in a cooperative way, a few friends, and of course we have to work without money. Without money doesn't mean in a conventional way. Without money is that we are not going to spend money in things that I think that are not necessary. Then I'm not going to use to put a floor and not just the things. But of course I'm going to take away the pillars, because are very bad for my car, and I was going to park here. Then I prefer not to have any problem with the car. Then, of course, as if I'm going to do that, I prefer to do it in an open way. And that was also possible because of this use of this new system that I'm not going to tell you now, because I don't want you to get tired of me. And this is the entrance, as you can see, just concrete. This is the structural. When you finish the structure, you have to say that you have nearly finished the house. And this is just the lift, and just that, quite easy. And here you have these stairs in the cheapest possible way. And when you give the houses, if somebody can finish their own way. And this is the house of Leo. One of the architects who works in my office this is his house, and he finished with wood and beautiful design architect, designed by an architect house. Wonderful. Other houses are like this, just with this concrete in the floor. But here we have this freedom of each of us can finish the house as you like, and this is one of the houses, of the top houses, that have possibility of doing different things. And in this house, the more interesting thing is this window, that it was not so easy to get this big glass in this place because of the narrow street. But we have not to change the project, but you have to take decision during the work that change the project. Sometimes because of time, because you need to do it in a quicker way. Sometimes because you discover that something is not working well, and you have to be there, open mind, and the architect has to be there to have decisions and to choose things. This is the bathroom of the house. It's closed now. This is with a glass and with a curtain, and it's very beautiful. Now finished. Now, I'm sorry, this photo is not finished. And also another one of the houses with this things that are happening there that make it different space than you can. In fact, all my work, when possible, is kind of laboratory of light, laboratory of space, laboratory, and full of possibilities. And now I'm going to tell you some of the conditions that helped me to take decisions in this work. First of all is that we were in a very historical place, full of in an archaeological site. Archaeological site, you know what it means. It was a cemetery. You know cemetery? You more or less understand cemetery. Okay, 100. Okay, we find 145 people lying there. And we have to be for a long time with the archaeologists and with anthropologists and with a lot of people until we finished with this work, and they went with all these pieces they found to the museum. And this was the most interesting piece they found. I was telling them that all us in the past, all us were Romans. I feel Roman, and this is a Roman sculpture of una muñeca, something for playing the girls. A small piece of, and it is a Roman sculpture, and it was there in this excavation in Granada. Then is when I say that we all were Romans in the past. It's true. Here you have and then we have a lot of things. You know, we have all this process, and with this was I told you that you project the stone, you project the concrete in the both sides of this isolation. Then isolation is in the center, and it makes it very cheap. But all the problems have. And the third and last, don't worry, is the last work I'm going to tell you about. Is going to explain another, when the genesis of the project, well, the first one is when it looks like a total freedom in the genesis of the project, and then you choose your own questions, your own condition. The second one, you have a lot of conditions because of the permission, because of the place, because of that. And this one, this third one, is when you project and the genesis is not your project. You know what you mean. Okay, I'm going to tell you what I mean. And also I want to say that this will be I want to remember a person who was the person I told you before, was Antonio Jiménez Torrecillas, an architect who is he was National Award of Architecture in Spain, a wonderful architect, a wonderful person, a very close friend of mine, and he passed 2 years ago. And when he passed, he left one work, one project, and they asked me to follow and to build this project in these years, and that's what I have done. And then here, the genesis of the project is to follow his project, to follow his ideas, and we have to modify the project because of change of the program. We have to modify and we have to do a new project. But here we change things, but I try to work with his mind. It was not so difficult because we have been for 20 years together, not working together in the same office because we have 2 offices, but we teach together and we were very, very close friends. And it was not difficult to know. I knew him very well, but well, that was. This is the place. This is an is this the restoration of 16th century monastery, an old building, and we had to do this area, this small area here, that was without roof. It was absolutely destroyed, just this wall, and we used traditional systems, but working in a contemporary way. The only possible way of working with a project of Antonio Jiménez Torrecilla. I invite you to see his works. Also, that was the first thing. The second, we have to repair, because this sailing was ruined. Here you can see these new windows were with natural stone and glass, and with this you got a filter, and this is the inside, really very simple, the inside of this work. And I think that this is very special space, and here I can find very clearly this sensibility of Antonio Jiménez Torrecilla. This wall light is in this line, and also, well, this is like a new wall in the old one, to get the light here and to get a new frame in these doors. Also working with a traditional, this is a traditional with wood, with timber, a traditional system in a very contemporary way, just the opposite as sometimes we find. The image was very contemporary. Here you can find this filter of the light. Do you see well? And also here you can see how artificial lighting is part of this project. And the most important thing of this project was this stair. In the beginning, the stair was not in this place, was in other place. But we have to move here because of change of program. And also we have to solve all the problems you usually have, because in the beginning it was in a concrete wall, and now there was not concrete, and we have to do it in different way. We have to change it, but never mind. We changed it, but with the same idea. We were following this idea of the project of other person, trying to be really very near to his idea, very faithful. You understand, faithful to this idea. And then we did this stair. We were very lucky because we worked with a really good team, because they work with accuracy, perfect accuracy, and it was possible to do that. And when I see this image of the final of the war, this is the top of this star. Now we will work here in the future in an S state. When I see this image, I can find this is Antonio Jiménez Torrecilla's work, also mine, but not just mine. And well, these are these three works explaining these three genesis of the idea, explaining how much do you modify the idea, and when you end with that I think that is that when the work is end, when people is, and just that from these three different points. And now I am open to listen your ideas, and open to listen if you have some question or if you want to say something. Thank you very much.
Devo ringraziare moltissimo Elisa per questa, credo, calzante conversazione e racconto sulla genesi del progetto architettonico. Tra l'altro ci hai ricordato molto bene quanto in realtà la genesi del progetto architettonico non finisce finché il progetto non è terminato. E ci hai ricordato quanto dobbiamo essere attenti, critici nei nostri confronti, sulle nostre idee, abili e veloci ad adattare il progetto alle nuove situazioni che si possono verificare anche durante la costruzione. Vi voglio raccontare una cosa che è successa ieri sera, quando Elisa è arrivata. Ci ha detto, intanto dovete sapere che questa conferenza è stata preparata apposta per noi, quindi proprio incentrata sul tema della genesi architettonica del progetto. E ieri quando è arrivata ci ha detto grazie per questo invito, perché sono anni appunto che penso di voler scrivere qualcosa, di voler scrivere un libro su questo tema, su quali sono i miei pensieri, qual è il flusso emotivo e come esso poi si traduce nel progetto. Quindi posso quasi dire che forse questo è l'inizio per lei del mettere veramente su carta, o comunque almeno è la prima volta che ne parla così approfonditamente in una conferenza, e ci ha chiesto di essere partecipi, di raccontarle il nostro punto di vista o comunque di farle domande, perché è aperta a sentire anche quello che abbiamo da dire al riguardo. Quindi adesso appunto io vi invito tutti a porre le vostre domande, esprimere i vostri dubbi. Credo che questo momento delle domande in questa particolare conferenza, che è l'ultima di questo anno, sia fondamentale per tutti, perché è veramente un momento di confronto. Spero possiate elaborare tutto quello che avete ascoltato in questa conferenza, in realtà anche nelle precedenti, e sentitevi liberi di esprimervi, di fare le domande che volete e anche di esprimere il vostro parere o il vostro punto di vista.
Grazie. Io avrei una domanda forse un po' stupida e un po' sexista. C'è un modo diverso di rapportarsi allo spazio tra donne e uomini? C'è un modo diverso di concepire lo spazio architettonico o di occuparlo, di pensare di crearlo, di occuparlo? Io penso che all'interno di uno spazio una donna si muova diversamente. Questa è la mia domanda. E quindi anche forse nel concepire. Cioè un genere di domande che in genere non mi piace fare, perché io ritengo di pensare come un uomo, ma ci sono certe cose che forse sono un po' diverse.
This is a question that is not the first time that, somebody asked me, because as we are not a lot of women professors in Spain, just two in Spain of projects of architectonics. And a lot of people ask if it's different. I'm not sure, because working with Antonio Jiménez Torrecilla, I feel that he had the same sensibility as we were very similar. And I have learned a lot of different people. Of course, I'm sure that we are different when dealing with people, when dealing in the work with all these things, and maybe we understand different things more. But I'm not sure. I think that I have learned a lot of. I cannot say that is different. My approach from my approach is my approach. Maybe it's this influence of my mother, of my friends, but also Antonio, also Carlos Martiaris, their influence on me are very big. I have got very big influence of Félix Candela, of Luis Barragán. Maybe the works of Luis Barragán are also this kind of sensibility that you can think that is more this interior world that we think that is more of us. I don't know, but I'm not sure. In fact, I cannot say that we work in different way. Sometimes we are more practical, that's true. Sometimes, but not always. Not all women, and not. I think the good thing is a good architect is a good architect, woman or man or woman, and if he's not so sensible, who is sensible for everything, and who is not. But this is a very interesting question that also we have to think a lot about that, and I have to ask on that for a long time, and for a long time we are thinking in this. But at the moment, I cannot find the difference, because each person is different, and then it's not possible to compare. I am much more similar to the architecture of Antonio Jiménez Torrecilla than to the architecture of Zaha Hadid, as you can see in my work. I am much more similar to Luis Barragán than to, I don't know who tell you, but I don't want to make comparison, but I think it's quite clear. But thank you, because it's a very interesting question.
Allora io volevo fare una domanda sulla luce. La luce crea un'atmosfera particolare in ogni suo progetto, e quello che mi chiedevo è come si rapporta alla comprensione dello spazio che andrà a creare la luce, perché mentre un materiale possiamo conoscerlo perché possiamo andare in un luogo dove vengono prodotti, o nella realtà ci sono edifici in cemento, edifici in mattoni, e li vediamo, quindi sappiamo come il materiale cambia nel tempo, possiamo intuirlo, mentre la luce ha un'azione unica in ogni spazio. Come si immagina, diciamo, come fa prima di vedere realizzato il progetto a immaginarsi il rapporto che la luce avrà con quello spazio?
La luce. That's a long time observing and thinking and experiencing light, experiencing. I think that I suppose that you have to study the light you have to appreciate light. You have to love light. And I ask to change natural lighting for this light because I like to enjoy natural light. I can appreciate, as people who is expert in wines can difference two wines from here and there. I can appreciate different lights, and I can think in the future project this light. And sometimes the result, well, I suppose that here is not possible to measure because as it's changing, but you more or less know the effect, and you can measure a lot of things. You know when it's coming from here, you know the orientation, you know a lot of things. If you study, you know a lot of things. But at the end, light is as salt in the food. In the food, salt is very important. Have you ever measured the salt you put in the food? I don't think so. A good cook don't measure the salt. Don't say, okay, how many, ¿cómo se dice gramos? Grams. How many grams of salt do you put? No, I have never seen in a recipe the grams of salt. The light is the same. You have to have this sensibility, you have to enjoy different light, you have to difference light, you have to appreciate it, and then for 20 years, all my work has been a laboratory of light. Trying to be from here and from there, and then I put here a white wall, and then it will come in an indirect way, and in this case, and all my life enjoying the light, playing with it. Here I can say that this is a game. This is the most beautiful game, I suppose, like painters play with color. We play with light. It's all, it's something that is life, it's alive. I cannot tell you more. I have just to say that, to do architecture is to let the light come inside, to domestify the light. Domestify, do you understand? To make domestic the light. So just that. That's how I understand architecture. The other things are, okay, occasional.
C'è una domanda laggiù.
I'm very happy. People is
Slowly.
Yes.
Salve. La mia più che una domanda è un ringraziamento che le volevo fare per la sensibilità che ha dimostrato e che ci è arrivata nella prima parte della sua conferenza, quando ha parlato di come le persone che lei ama abbiano influito nel suo modo di progettare, perché penso che a volte si dimentichi che l'architettura può essere per molte persone anche una valvola di sfogo e un modo per esprimere quello che si ha dentro. E a tal proposito, se non è troppo personale, le volevo chiedere come si è rapportata alla genesi del progetto in magari momenti della vita in cui non aveva magari stimolo, insomma in momenti bui, dove ha trovato l'ispirazione per andare avanti, a progettare.
Bueno, first of all, I have to say that to share with you all these things is, I feel very lucky to find that I can share with you all these things, and that that you can also help me to improve, and I think that is a very good thing, and I'm very, very grateful for that. Then the first part, thank to you go back to you the thanks. The second is where I have find the inspiration when in the difficult moment. Please help me to understand the question well, because I would like to. Yeah. Well, I think that life is always full of difficult moments. Real life is full of difficult moments. It's never just pink. But we always have to. I lost my mother when I was very young, as I told you, and I have lost really good friends, and I have also I lost my father when I was young. And, my life has not been pink in this sense, but it has, the inspiration in work is because you always has, well, I enjoy very much I love my work. I love what I do. And sometimes these difficult moments, sometimes the work is also a help to work with and to find, and also because you work for people. and you have to think in these people you are working for, and you have to go out or yourself. Maybe I have to say that in this difficult moment, you have to go out or yourself to find reasons for fighting, for trying our best, trying my best, for avoiding to be in myself and going out and trying. I have a lot of things to do. Also, helping other people. I have, now in this moment, I have a research team, and we are trying to find new systems for building with low energy, low cost, low energy. And I think that's very important for the future of the society, because very rich people can afford passive house, but poor people not. And then we have to do a big effort, and these goals of improving society or improving architecture, thinking in the architecture of the future, thinking in my students. Sometimes in these difficult moments when I have to sit in front of my students and to go out of myself and to help them with their project, then you have to forget you, because you have something else who is needing you, and you cannot be inside. You have to go out to grow up. You have always to grow up. Also because these wonderful people I have had, they taught me to grow up with all these things. I don't know if I give you an answer to your question, but very interesting and very moving question. But I think that's the only thing I can say. Going out.
Anch'io ho una domanda. Io mi stavo chiedendo, come ho detto prima, insomma, credo che lei abbia calcato molto, abbia concentrato molto la nostra attenzione sul fatto che anche nella fase, durante la costruzione di un progetto ci si deve adattare, variare le nostre idee, eccetera. Però sono anche sicuro del fatto che ci sono altre occasioni in cui invece dobbiamo cercare anche di resistere alle difficoltà e di portare avanti una nostra idea, sì, e fare di tutto per raggiungere l'obiettivo che ci siamo preposti. E quindi mi stavo chiedendo se ha qualcosa da raccontarci a riguardo, o se le è mai successo appunto che si proponessero delle difficoltà nello sviluppo di un progetto, nella costruzione, nella realizzazione di un progetto, e che lei si dovesse impuntare per dire no, questo va fatto così perché lo voglio così.
Sì. Well, I think that the most important thing is you have to have very clear the important things. You have to in the project, you need two qualities, I think. To be director of a work, two projects. First, you have to be humble, to see that you have to change things. And the second one, you have to be strong, to say, okay, this is like that, and I'm going to find, and I'm going to fight, and I'm going to explain. And in some places, it was difficult to arrive to the project as I want to do it. But in this case of this this project of the window of the house, of the experimental housing, it was difficult to put this glass, the big glass, because the street was very narrow, and we have to get very special meanings. But it's possible. If they say no, it's not possible. Okay, I will fight. I will find. I will phone. I will go. I will. Well, and it's there. I think that's also very important. If you are sure something has to do, and also experience. Experience helps us very much to say, okay, I am confident in what I am doing. Also, another thing very important is to lead a team. You are working with a team of people. People who is in the work, you have to go with them. And it's very important to have the confidence of these people when they say, oh, that's not, okay, yes, it's possible, do it. It's very important for us, if they trust us, it's very important to have that. And I think that 20 years ago, it was not so easy to people trust me because I knew nearly nothing.
Se non ci sono altre domande, direi di concludere qui questa conferenza. Devo sicuramente ringraziare Elisa Valero Ramos per essere venuta e per aver passato del tempo con noi. Devo ringraziare voi per essere venuti a tutti gli incontri, perché vi riconosco. E devo anche ringraziare ovviamente l'università, i professori che ci hanno seguito, che ci aiutano e ci consigliano continuamente. Devo ringraziare i nostri sponsor, primis fra tutti Marmi Carrara e Franchi Umberto Marmi, che ci hanno anche ospitato stamani.
Fantastico.
A Carrara. Abbiamo fatto una visita delle cave, siamo andati con i fuoristrada su delle strade con una pendenza del 150%. E tutti gli altri sponsor, perché abbiamo anche la Kaiser, sponsor locali, quindi di Pisa, abbiamo Dottor Plot, abbiamo Montacchiello, Cittadella dell'Innovazione. È molto bello, come tutti sapete, questi eventi sono, e c'è anche Mobil Casa, mi dimenticavo di Mobil Casa, questi eventi sono organizzati da noi, dagli studenti, e tra l'altro vorremmo che anche l'anno prossimo la partecipazione di tutti voi, degli studenti di architettura, crescesse, che ci aiutaste a trovare nuove persone da portare alle conferenze, che ci aiutaste nell'organizzazione, perché questo progetto deve rimanere all'interno del corso di laurea di ingegneria dell'architettura dell'Università di Pisa. E penso che insomma questo secondo anno si concluda molto bene, e dobbiamo migliorare e abbiamo bisogno di tutti voi. Grazie ancora però a Elisa.